Well then, it's day 7 on this alien world. I've got a factory up and running, I've been getting besieged by spiders, and I've got half a drilling rig built. So, I think it's time to get out of bed and get my day started and finish off this drilling rig. Oh look, the weather's lovely again. I'm probably going to get irradiated if I go outside. Might have to wait until that finishes then. What are my food supplies like? Oh, we've got loads and loads and loads of meat. That's fine. We've got plenty to live off for now. Oh, speaking of, more meat for the grinder. Thank you very much. Okay, now that that toxic fog's gone, we can have a look at what progress I made last time. So where did I get up to? So, I set it up with a basic walk animation that I need to test out, and I also made it a switch so it can go into drive mode. I still need to set up the brake controls, and I still need to set up some kind of turning controls. Okie dokie. Okay, so I want to build a brake control for this thing, so I need to put a couple of thrusters underneath. I also want to protect them a little bit, so I'm going to make a little bit of a housing thing here. I can pop a few small thrusters into. Fantastic, that'll do. Then we'll put a couple of small thrusters in there. There we get both of them welded up. We'll name one of them Brake Thruster Override, and the other one can be Brake Thruster Control. Sweet. Now, did I put an event control of that in here? Yes, I did. I just didn't get round to setting any of it up. Fantastic. Cool, so we are also going to need a light. Well, for now, I'm just going to pop a light under there. We can move it if we need to. So, it's time to set up these brake controls then. I've got my 2 controllers I'm going to use for the handbrake and the parking brake. We've got the thrusters and the lights to trigger it all, and we've got our remote control blocks and a group for them. Right, everything's in place. So, first controller, brake on off. That is going to be block on off. That is me looking at our brake light, which we need to make sure we turn off to begin with. And while we're there, we'll also set up its colour correctly. So, brake control on off. When that brake light is on, it is going to trigger the handbrake on off control. And when it is off, in the next slot, we're going to do the exact same thing. And it should be as simple as that. So, if I start driving forwards and I hit that light, it applies the brakes, it stops the wheels. If I turn the light off again, the wheels start again. Cool, right, that's the parking brake done. So, brake controls, this is going to be thruster output greater than 10%. Going to look at the brake control thruster, and when that activates, all it is going to do is turn our brake light on and off. So now if I drive forwards and I hit my spacebar, it stops. Cool. Right, that's the brake control setup. Okay, so the next thing I think I should do is probably have a look at setting up these arms so he's got a little bit of defences. So let's bring him down a bit. So I reckon I've got a fair bit of room here between the cockpit and the legs. So if I stick a sorter on there to pull ammo and store a little bit of it, then we can have a small hinge on the end. And then we can put an advanced rotor on the end of there, have another hinge on there, and then we can build the gun off the bottom of that. Right, let's get these bits welded up first. Right, there we go. That is our arm welded up. Now I just need to quickly name all of these bits and then we can build the gun. Right then, let's have a think about this gun arm. So I'm going to put an air vent on the back for both conveyor access, and we'll use it as an air intake for our cockpit. Have a conveyor there, another conveyor there, a bit of ammo storage on the front, and then we'll have a gun on top of that. And then on top of that gun, we'll stick a camera for the AI to use, and we'll also stick a big spotlight on the front of that gun. Right, I think that is all the bits I need for that. We'll get that welded up. Ooh, where's that unknown signal? How far away is it? Oh, that's landing all the way up that mountain. Let's not bother. Okay, that's all those built. Let's quickly name them all, and then we'll do the same thing on the other side. Right, there we go. That is another arm built and named. We are also going to need an event controller to turn this whole thing on and off. So let's see what we've got space-wise in the back of here. Right, there we go. There's our event controller to turn our arms on and off. And I'm gonna put a light on the side of the cab there. We'll use that as the on and off switch. And I'm also going to need a few turret controllers, so let's pop 2 in that side for the right arm, and 2 in that side for the left arm. Okay, now we've got all the arm bits in place, we can set up these controllers. What? Gunfire. Ooh, spiders. Ooh, spiders. And more acid rain. Lovely. So, like I was saying before I was interrupted by spiders again, arm rotor, right elbow, arm hinge, right elbow, camera, right arm. Sweet. Gatling gun, right arm. Give that a test. Left and right are backwards. And then we've got our right shoulder hinge, our right shoulder rotor, and our right arm camera. We're not going to attach the weapon this time, because we don't want the two to conflict. And left and right are backwards again. And that unknown signal's only 1.5 kilometers away. Let's go and retrieve that. Oh, quick, get out the acid rain. Aha, here it is. Ow, acid rain. Where's the button? There it is. No surprises. What have we got inside? Scrap, magnesium, and a welder. That's lovely, isn't it? Well, at least the parts are useful. Really, scrap metal in an unknown signal. Well, that was worth it, wasn't it? Okay, back home we go. Okay, so the right arm's done, let's do the left arm. So we've got left elbow rotor, left elbow hinge, left arm camera, left arm gun, and left and right is backwards as always. And then finally we've got our left shoulder hinge, our left shoulder rotor, our left arm camera, and everything's backwards. Okay then, now that we've got all of those controllers set up, we should make a few groups. So we'll make a group for all of our control units, we'll make one for all of the arm hinges, one for the left-hand rotors, and one for the right-hand rotors. We also need to make a group for all of the cameras, guns, and spotlights. We'll also make a separate one for the arm spotlights themselves. And now we can set up the on and off switch for our arm weapons. So we've got our arm weapons controller. We're going to set that to block switched on off. The arm weapons light will be the trigger. And when that light turns on and off, we will turn the control units on and off. We will also turn their AI on and off. We will turn the weapons group on and off. We will set the spotlight colours to cyan and orange. And for our arm hinges and rotors, we will reset the velocity and set velocity to 5 RPM. We will also reset velocity and set it to, I think it's 5 RPM. And for the right hand, we will reset velocity and set it to -5 RPM. And we will also change the colours on our trigger light. So when it is on, it will turn green, and when it's off, it will turn orange. And if we give that light a flick on and off, we need to turn the rotors the other way around. Cool. Okay, so if I cycle that light again, on, off, there we go. Right then, that is the arm controls set up. We just need to arm them up a little bit, and then we can move on to possibly giving this a test run. I need to see how the drive controls and the walking controls are working before we go any further. So let's work on some armor plating. Okay, there is some armor plating. Let's get it all welded up. There we go, there is some armor plating for the guns. I'll think about what I'm going to do with the arms later once we have worked out exactly what kind of shapes we're going to be working with. Okay, so now that we've got those arm weapons set up and some basic walk and drive controls set up, let's give him a little test run. So I can drive out of there, and drive forwards. I drive in reverse. My handbrake works. I've put 2 gyros on there, but I don't seem to be able to turn very well. And then if we swap it into walk mode, definitely need to do some tweaking to that, but it can walk. And we can turn a little bit, but I think we are going to need a few more gyroscopes maybe. Right, so after a little bit of testing, the turning control system I was thinking of isn't really going to work the way I was hoping, so I'm just going to bin it off altogether. Get rid of these thrusters on the side, as we don't need them. And I'm going to add a couple more gyroscopes to the back to help us steer a little bit better. Oh, more spiders. Get away, get away, get away, get away. Oh, even more spiders. Oh, thank God for the guns. And before I forget, I also need to set up the reverse walking controls for this guy, because we didn't do that last time. Right, so the reverse control will be thrust output greater than 10, and it will be the reverse control thruster as the trigger. And the first thing we'll do is turn off and turn on the forward walk controller. And then we'll turn our walk reverse controllers on and off. We will trigger the walk start timer, we will trigger the walk reset timer, and we will turn the walk rotor on and off. And we will also set the suspension steering override to -100 and 0. Okay, and then we can sort out our reverse controllers. So, they are set to block switched on and off, they are triggered by the walk lights, and then the left leg hinges can be set to -10 and 10 RPM. And then our front left rotor can be set to -15 and 15 RPM. And the rear right can be set to the opposite, so 15 and -15. And then we can do the same with our reverse right hand controller. So our right hand hinge group can be -10 and 10 RPM. Our front right leg rotor can be set to 15 and -15 RPM. And our rear left rotor can be set to -15 and 15 RPM. And then hopefully that should work. There we go, we've got a reverse walk cycle. And we've got a forward walk cycle. Okay, so now that we... oh, not again. Where's my gun? There we go. Is it just you? No, it's not just you, is it? Okay, now that I've made a few more adjustments, I'm going to bring him down again. I'm going to test him again. And I think it'll be time to make a start on the mining drone that's going to go with him. Okay, that walks much nicer now. Could possibly still speed it up a little bit, but it's nice and smooth. And the reverse walking animation seems to work pretty well. Cool, right. Walk modes are all working. Drive mode works. Turning works. Okay, cool. We'll leave him there for a second. And then we'll make a start on this drone. Oh, but before we go anywhere, there's an unknown signal over there. In fact, let's take you. Let's drive you over there. Let's see how well you do in a terrain test. Right, let's increase your speed limit a little bit too. And what have we got here? You are upside down. Really? Okay. Disable them. No fabulous prizes? Where's the cargo container? Ah, there it is. Grain seeds. Okay, seeds are actually useful. That's cool. Well, that unknown signal was more useful than the last one. Right, let's head home. Let's sort out this mining drone. Right then, mining drone. So, first thing we're going to do is we're going to add another small head back onto here, so we've got something to build from. And then we'll put a slope panel there, so I can actually get up to the top. Right, that can be a starting point. So, first things first, we'll have a connector down there. Okay, so that's going to be the start of our drone. We've got a little conveyor and ejector system here, and we've got a timer and an event controller for a docking system. So, let's get this layer welded up, and we can move on to the next one. Right, that's that layer welded up. Oh god, more spiders again. Where's my gun? Where's my gun? Get down. Yeah, I think I definitely need to build some interior turrets. Actually, on the interior. Damn spiders. Right, where was I? And so that is our next layer of the drone. We've got a couple of ore detectors for detecting ore. A couple of event controllers for detecting cargo amounts. I've put in a bunch of AI blocks because I want this thing to be able to fly vertically and horizontally as well. And we've got batteries and gyros and a broadcast controller to send us some signals. So let's have a look at the next layer then. Right, and that is our next layer. So we've got a whole bunch of relays because I want to be able to operate a whole bunch of its functions remotely. And we've got a few more event controllers to operate a few more things, and then we've got a bunch of timers that we're going to use to trigger the various stages of its drilling sequence. But that is a whole separate issue, programming that. Right, okay, so I think next we need... well, we need the drills, we need some thrusters, and we need some big batteries. Right, so we've got some drills on the front and some batteries on the side. They just need welding up. And I think, because we are on a planet with considerably higher gravity than what I'm used to, I'm going to use my specially modified thrusters that are a little bit stronger. Okay, so that's all of those parts in place. Time to get welding again. Right then, everything appears to be welded up correctly. Everything is named. Just need to set up a few groups and a little bit of programming. So first thing I'm going to do is turn the thrusters back on and give it a little test flight. See how well it moves. Right then, thrusters are on. Let's detach him and bring it down. Hey. Right, it's flying. That's a good sign. It can move around. It can fly backwards and forwards. It can fly up and down and left and right. Cool. Okay, let's get him back on there again, and then we can do a little bit of greebling. Okay, so that's a little bit of greebling, a little bit of detail for now. Next thing we need to do is set up some basic kind of programming, a few basic controls for now. So the first thing we will set up will be the docking controller. So we'll set this controller to the connector locked unlocked event. We'll select our docking port, and the first thing we are going to do when this thing connects up and disconnects is we're going to set the batteries to recharge and enable auto. And then the next thing we'll do is set the thrusters to turn off and on when we're connected and disconnected. And then we'll quickly slap a couple of spotlights on the front so we can see what we are doing. And then we can have those spotlights turn off and on when we connect and disconnect. Okay, so those are some really basic controls set up for now. Before I go any further with programming any AI, I need to make sure that this thing can actually support its own weight when it's full of ore. So I think the next thing to do is go and do a little bit of field testing and make sure it can operate. Oh my god, more spiders. Right then, as I was saying, we will go and do a little bit of a field test on this guy, make sure he can actually fly when he's full of ore. And then after that, we can have a look at automation. So we'll get him disconnected again, we'll get him over and docked onto the drilling rig, and then we'll go and do a little bit of testing. Okay, so let's sort out this docking connector. Let's take that off, let's take that off. Okay then, that's a basic little docking coupler sorted out, so let's take control of him and fly him over to the drilling rig. Okay, so I think I want to redesign the docking port on the back of the drilling rig a little bit. I don't want it to be quite so low down. So if we cut these out and raise the whole thing up by another block, I reckon, because I want to be able to cover that rotor at the back a little bit better. Right, now that that docking port has been rebuilt, we can slightly redesign the back end of this thing as well. Okay, so that is the docking port redesigned a little bit, so we will go back into his control panel and we will get this drone landed, and then we'll go and test him out a little bit. Right then, let's go and give this thing a little bit of a test run. Okay then, so I'm going to test it out on this iron rock here, but an unknown signal has just dropped in 1.5 kilometers away, so let's go and quickly have a look at that. Ah, here we go. Unknown signal. No fabulous prizes. A drill and some fruit seeds. Well, more seeds are helpful, I suppose. Grind this down, take the parts, and go back to the testing. Okay then, we are back at the rock, so let's take control of the drill. Alright, now we just need to see how much weight he can carry in this gravity. Hopefully, he can fill all of the way up. So that is our drill drone's inventory, completely full of stone and iron. He can still support his weight vertically. And he can still support his weight horizontally from the look of it. Okay then. Alright, let's put him back on there. We can take all these resources back, process them, and then we can try and work out some automation for this guy. Right then, we are back at the base. I am going to manually stick some of that iron into our production system, and while that is processing, we need to figure out where we're going to dock him up, because I want to be able to pull everything out without having to manually run back and forth. So let's figure out where we're going to put this guy. Right, well I think right here on the side of the factory is a pretty good spot to build him a docking station. Okay, so I'm going to need to dig a hole through the floor in here, because we need to get to this conveyor connection underneath here. And you know what, while we're at it, we'll make a start on the speed modules for our assemblers. So let's put them in place. Right, that's one done. That's two done. And I've also noticed I'm going to have to change this if I want to be able to get through there. So let's cut this out and replace it. There we go, we can actually get through to the back, so we can weld that one up. Okay, so we now have 4 speed modules on our 2 assemblers, so let's get back to thinking about this docking platform. Right, so now that we've got a conveyor connection coming out of the building, we need to figure out what we're going to do about this docking platform station type thing. So, seeing as we're already starting to dig into the ground, I might try raising this whole thing up a block and building a ramp to get onto the docking port. We'll have a cargo connector bang in the middle, and then hopefully some sort of ramp, but I think that might be too steep. So I might have to do something funny there. Yeah, that's gonna get damaged at that angle. We are gonna have to figure out a way of making that ramp a little bit shallower. Okay, so a quick and easy solution I'm going to do for now is I'm just going to make the ramp a separate grid by angling one of these 2x1 blocks and then just slightly clipping it into the platform. And then that is a rough layout for it. I think that should work nicely. We'll give that another test. Oop. Right after we deal with these spiders. Just the one this time. Okay, back to what we were doing. Ah, that's a much nicer ascent. Lovely, that's much, much better. Right, let's get this platform welded up. Well then, that is our docking platform welded up. Let's get this drilling rig connected up so we can pull those resources into the refinery. Okay, so that connector is way too high to actually make any sort of connection, so we are gonna have to change it up a little bit. So we'll take that connector back out there. We will take this connection out of here. Take this block out too and replace it with a ramp so I can get in and out. Then we'll have to dig ourselves a little bit of a hole. Okay, so after that, we then need to put another conveyor down there and a rotor in here. So we'll pop an advanced rotor in there, take the top of it off, we'll swap it for a medium small grid head. Okay, now we've got that rotor and those conveyors welded up, we should be able to stick a small connector on the top. Hopefully that won't be too low. Oh, more spiders! Oop, bad time to reload. Oh, that gun's run out of ammo, I think. Let's just go and quickly reload that gun. Yes, you are out of ammo. Here you go, I have 10 more bullets. Okay, that clears the connector at the front. And it can make a connection in the middle. Awesome. Let's lock ourselves down then. And there goes all of the ore out of our cargo container. Marvellous. Right, so now that we can connect up and we can get up this ramp without smashing the underbelly of the drilling rig, let's make this docking platform look a little bit nicer. So I think I'm actually going to take out this row of blocks either side and swap them for some of the new interior blocks. There we go, something like that will do. Now, can I do something similar to this ramp? If I do something like this, all the way down here, right, there we go. That looks pretty good. Right, what else can we do? I reckon we could also do with widening the whole thing a little bit. So we'll add an extra row of blocks on either side. Sound of guns. Is that the sound of more spiders? Ah, here we go. More meat, thank you very much. Right, that's the whole platform a little bit wider. We need to do the same thing with the ramp, really. Okay, that is the ramp widened up a little bit. And I think we'll also paint some hazard stripes. And we'll have those going down either side of the ramp as well. And I might also put some railings up here, just in case we slip off. These spiders never give me a break. Okay, so I'm going to put a little bit of armour around the connector as well, to keep it a little bit more protected. Oh. Thank you, guns. More spider meat for me. Okay, there we go. That looks a little bit nicer. Let's get him docked back up then. Awesome, right, that is locked back down. And I'd also like to put some kind of scaffold cage type lighting rig above this docking platform, so let's stick a bunch of scaffold blocks in. Right, that's the first section of the cage done. But I'm going to need to recharge, so we'll do that first. Right, so we'll have all of those blocks up there. And then we'll come across again with some more scaffolding. There we go, he just about clears under there. That would be alright, hopefully. And there we go, that is the basic cage welded up. So, I want to pop a little bit of lighting in here as well. So I think I'm going to put some of these floodlights under here. I'm going to need to take these out. Alright, that's one spotlight. That's two spotlights. That's three spotlights. And that's four. Marvellous. Okay, so now that that is all done, it has just occurred to me that I didn't set up a docking controller on the drilling rig. So I need to detach him, but I also need to grind these down first. So for the docking system, we are going to need to make a few groups. So we're going to need a group for our control thrusters. We'll need a group for our gyroscopes. We'll need a group for the batteries. And I think that will do for the moment. So we will set our docking event controller to connector locked unlocked. Use the docking port as the trigger. First thing we'll do is set the batteries on recharge when it's connected and enable auto when it's disconnected. And then we'll have those control thrusters turn off and on. And we'll have the gyros turn off and on. Cool, and now when I connect up, the gyros are inactive and the thrusters have turned off and the battery has gone back onto recharge. And if I disconnect, it all turns back on again. And I can start driving around again. Cool, let's connect that back up then. Okay, that is the drilling rig docked up. It's got some docking controls and it's got a nice little house to live in for the moment. Right, on the subject of docking, that's 2 extra grids I've just added to this main grid. So what is my battery power like? Battery number 1 is recharged in 2 days. We've got 300 kilowatts coming in, 220 going out, that's not too bad. Battery number 2, charged in 4 days, and again, 300 in, 220 out. Okay, that's not too bad. We have got just enough power for everything to charge. But we should probably think about expanding our power output. Right, well I think my best bet for a little bit of extra power, at least for the moment, is to put some solar panels up there on my farm. Oh my god, more spiders. Thank you, guns, as always. Right, as I was saying, solar panels up there. So I'm going to turn that rotor off and that hinge temporarily, so it doesn't move while I'm trying to build. Yeah, I might put some of the big square solar panels up on top of here. There we go, we can have those 2 up there. And then we can have 2 more down there at the bottom. Cool, let's get them welded up. Right, that's 1 more solar panel. And that's the last solar panel. So if we turn that rotor and that hinge back on, the solar panels are collectively pulling in 600 kilowatts. Okay, that's not too bad at all. That should be a nice little boost to my batteries. Wonderful. 537 input on both of the batteries. That's much better. Cool, fully charged in 12 hours. Okay, well that was a fairly productive day. We finished the drill rig's control systems. We set up some basic controls for the drill drone. We gave the whole thing a basic test run. We set up a docking station for it. We also upgraded the power output a little bit to compensate for the extra drain of the new grids. So next time I think I'm going to go looking for some ice so we can get a farm started up. But for now, I'm off for a rest.